former Ohio State and NFL quarterback Bobby Hoy on life lessons through sports.
The member schools of the Ohio High School Athletic Association share in the mission of educational athletics. That means that school sports are an extension of the classroom and play an important part of a well-rounded education. Student athletes do a lot more than just play sports, but it's the lessons they learn through sports that last a lifetime.
This message brought to you by the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Welcome to the Ohio High School Athletic Association Football Playoff Preview Show. And now from Columbus, here's Todd Bell.
716 football teams began the season across Ohio back in August with the goal of making the playoffs. And now 224 of them can say they have met that goal. Hi again, everybody. This is Todd Bell, and I'm with you for the next hour as we set the table for the opening weekend of the 2016 OHSAA football playoffs. We'll go through the entire playoff format and schedule. We'll go through the first-round matchups in all 7 divisions, hear from media around the state, and look ahead to the state championship games, which will be December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in Ohio Stadium in Columbus. But first, let's take a network break for these messages from the Ohio High School Athletic Association. When we come back, we'll set the schedule for the playoffs and get right into Divisions 1 and 2. You're listening to the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show.
Hi, I'm Ron Stokes, analyst for Ohio State basketball.
I'm Jim Lachey, analyst for Ohio State football.
Want an edge on your competition? Start by eating a balanced, nutrient-rich diet packed with protein, carbohydrates, and dairy.
And finish with a low-fat or fat-free chocolate milk. It provides 9 essential nutrients to replenish the fluids lost when you've given it your all.
You've trained, practiced, and played. Now fuel up with chocolate milk.
For more information, visit drink-milk.com.
American Dairy Association Mideast is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
There's people who care where I'm going, and good friends who welcome me home. So get a full tank of freedom, drive the American road. And with a full tank of freedom, find your own highway, we'll take you wherever you go.
Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
KidsLinked.com is a one-of-a-kind family resource for parents to find local kid-friendly activities, family events, cool deals, and fun things to do. KidsLinked publishes helpful print and online family resource guides, hosts their signature Kids Fest family festivals, as well as the Columbus Children's Festival in June and the Learning Rocks Education Expo each November. Check out KidsLinked.com for all the information parents need in one convenient place. That's KidsLinked.com. The Ohio High School Athletic Association State Championships are the pinnacle of every high school season.
The Wayne Warriors have won their first ever state championship.
He's going to get it easily. Touchdown. Shoots and scores.
The OHSAA Radio Network brings you the play-by-play call for the football state championships and the state tournaments in girls and boys basketball, baseball, and softball.
We are live at Huntington Park.
This will not show up on the stat sheet, but Jocelyn Meyer just set a little screen, allowed her teammate to get open. Great job.
They get it to McIntyre. Quick out on the baseline to Hoop, and she knocks it down.
Shooters are shooters, and they're capable of knocking them down at any time.
Ground ball up the middle. The shortstop, Steichman, has him behind the back. Throw to first. He got him.
Over 50 stations, thousands of listeners, and countless memories from OHSAA championships.
This is Paul Keels. This is David Wilson. This is Todd Bell.
This is Scott Leo.
This is Michael Reggai. This is Todd Walker.
You're listening to the OHSAA Radio Network. Welcome back to the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show. Now let's rejoin Todd Bell.
The OHSAA Playoff Preview Show is brought to you by Chocolate Milk. Fuel up with chocolate milk. Marathon, fueling the American spirit. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy high school sports better. The Ohio National Guard. It's time to learn what you're made of. And by Nationwide Children's Hospital. And it's brought to you by the OHSAA Radio Network, which will broadcast all 7 football state championship games from Ohio Stadium in Columbus December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Let's kick off the show by setting the 2016 playoff schedule. On Friday nights at 7:30 this year, it'll be Divisions 1, 2, 4, and 6. On Saturday nights at 7 p.m., it'll be Divisions 3, 5, and 7. Fans and media can find brackets, pairings, and statewide notes on all 224 playoff teams on the playoff coverage page at ohsaa.org. Now, before we get to the pairings in Divisions 1 and 2, let's talk about the playoff schedule and format, especially putting Division 1 on Friday nights this year, which we will do with our first guest on the playoff preview show, OHSAA Football Administrator, Assistant Commissioner Beau Rugg. Beau, thanks for the time. Division 1 this year, fans are seeing that showing up on Friday. Plus, it's now 4 regions instead of 2. Let's talk about the changes and what led to those decisions.
The Coaches Association came to me. We meet every year with a subcommittee from that group that's a tournament committee, and they suggested 4 regions. And I had done 4 regions initially when we had 7, when we added the 7th division. So I said, I'd look at it. We sent out some questionnaires to coaches to say what they thought. Even though the subcommittee wanted it, I said, let's ask around the state. It was pretty overwhelming, 65% or something like that said they would like 4 divisions. But probably the most compelling thing was we had a coach that probably wouldn't have made it, definitely wouldn't have made it if it was 4 regions last year, but said they really wanted the 4 regions because we've lost the regional championship.
Right.
And I think that was compelling, and then that means something. So, to me, doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so we gathered some info and went that way.
Well, at the very least, you gave something a look, and then you were able to gather some data, and then, if the coaches wanted the change, you're able to go right back and make the change.
Yeah, that's true. And, part of the reasoning was that it will limit travel. It definitely limits travel in 3 of the 4. But it's just the way the S curve goes on Division 1. You got a couple teams in the Northwest. One division, I think it's, one region. I keep saying division. One region, and I believe it's Region 2, is just big. It's just the way it is. But the other ones, it definitely will be much better from a travel standpoint.
The other significant change that will take place this year in Division 1 is, for almost ever, the Division 1 playoff games have been played on Saturday night. This year they will move to Friday night. What constituted that move?
Interestingly, my subcommittee group from the Coaches Association proposed all games on Friday until the finals. That's something that we've talked about in the past. It's not like it's something we couldn't do. And the fact is, for the most part, we own Friday night in high school football in a state like Ohio. And we want to generate that interest. Now, as it relates to that, we, again, sent out information. Do we want to go Friday nights? What do we want to do? We got a lot of information back, especially from smaller divisions that say we like to go to games on Friday and Saturday nights. I witnessed this personally. I go to games every week, and I witnessed it out in our MAC conference when I went to I think it was Minster, Fort Recovery, and all the Marion Local Jackets over there. Marion Local was playing the next night. So I think we get some of that. The Division 1s, they really want to play on Friday night. They were overwhelming in saying they did. I think it's time to do that. I think that's a better generation of excitement for us. We hope it's a good generation of revenue for us. But, I think they want to do that, and I think it will create some good excitement.
Question that's asked every year is about the neutral site selection, and that can't be easy by any stretch of the imagination. I imagine that would also play into playing every game on a Friday night. That would eliminate a lot of host sites that you have. What is that process once you get into round 2 and you get to that neutral site selection, and how tedious can that be sometimes?
Well, it can be. I have a group of people that help me with that, and they're wonderful. And it's getting better because we're getting more sites. People putting in turf, it really helps us. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, we're in November playoffs in Ohio. We need to be on a surface we can count on, and that's why people ask me all the time, will you ever play on grass? So ever's a long time, but it just doesn't make sense with our weather. So that being said, the site situation is getting better, as I said, and is challenging. A couple things we have to look at. If we did go on all Friday night, we have a bunch of teams that are host teams. I'll use one example, Wapakoneta. They host a lot of games for us, but they don't want to host on nights they're playing. They're good. So that would take away a site if we went only on Friday night. So that's certainly a factor. The other thing is, people think we want each team to travel an equal amount of time. We really don't. Our first priority is to pick the best site that's neutral and limit the overall travel. So one team may travel 30 miles and the other team may travel 60, but the fact is that's 90 total miles. Whereas we could pick another site where they both travel 70 miles, but we got 140 total miles, everybody's traveling. It doesn't make sense. So the best site is number one, and a good neutral place where the total travel is limited is probably number two.
Third year that the state championships, Beau, are going to be played at Ohio Stadium. After you have had them there now for a couple of years, it was I'll say a new location because it had been such a long time. How have you made some improvements now moving into year three, or some of the things that you've tweaked a little bit now as we get into this third year as the preparations have begun in earnest?
Well, I think the biggest thing are probably logistical things. It's a great venue. One thing we're not where we need to be yet from a perspective of marketing is if you've been there and you've sat there, you have a great seat, and with no track, you're really close to the field. I wish I could get more people to understand that and get people to the games. But logistically, we've done some tweaks to really help make sure the experience for the teams is seamless. And we've done better every year. And getting them to the right place and getting them in, getting them out, transition from auxiliary locker rooms to locker rooms has been great. So, we were really pleased last year. There's not a bunch of changes. We meet probably 6 months out and start meeting monthly and then every week. And we don't have a lot of changes this year. So we're pretty pleased on how we've transitioned.
And I imagine that it's been well received by all of the teams. They've been very excited to have those games here the last couple of years.
Yeah, I talk to the coaches each game before the game, and they're just they're really giddy. They're players walking down that tunnel and getting that experience on the field is really second to none. And that's what it's about. They're really liking being there and being in that atmosphere.
Beau, thanks for your time, and let's stay on one of those topics that we talked about with Beau Rugg, and that's Division I. And here are your first-round pairings in Division I. In Region 1, it'll be Glen Oak, who is the 8th seed at 6-4, taking on 9-1 Solon, the top seed in the region. The number 2 seed, Lakewood St. Edward, will host Euclid. They are at 7-3, and they're the number 7 seed. The number 3 seed, Stowe Monroe Falls, at 9-1, will take on number 6 Canton McKinley at 6-4. And the 4 seed Cleveland St. Ignatius at 9-1. They'll take on Massillon Jackson, the 5 seed, at 7-3. In Region 2, Olentangy Liberty is the number 1 seed, unbeaten on the year. They'll take on a rival, an 8 seed Olentangy Orange. Number 2 seed Dublin Jerome at 9-1 will take on 7 seed Findlay, who is 7-3. Number 3 seed Lorraine at 8-2 will take on number 6 seed Lewis Center Olentangy, who is 7-3. And number 4 seed Toledo Whitmer at 8-2, they will be taking on number 5 seed Medina, who is 8-2. In Region 3, Huber Heights Wayne at 9-1 is the number 1 seed. They'll be hosting Lancaster, who is 6-4, the number 8 seed. Number 2 seed Hilliard Bradley at 9-1 will take on number 7 seed Pickerington North, who is 7-3. Number 3 seed Pickerington Central at 9-1 will be hosting number 6 seed and 7-3 Springfield. And the number 4 seed is Dublin Kaufman at 8-2, and they'll be hosting the number 5 seed Hilliard Davidson, also 8-2. And in Region 4, Cincinnati Coleraine, unbeaten on the year, the number 1 seed. They'll be taking on number 8 seed Springboro, who is 7-3. Number 2 Lebanon is 7-3. They'll be hosting number 7 seed Cincinnati Sycamore, who is 6-4. Number 3 seed Mason, also at 6-4. They'll be hosting Cincinnati Elder, the 6 seed, who is 6-4. And Fairfield at 7-3. They are the 4 seed. They'll be hosting the number 5 seed Cincinnati St. Xavier, also 5-5. Now let's shift gears to Division II, games at 7:30 to be played on Friday. In Region 5, it is number 1 seed Aurora, who is 9-1, taking on number 8 seed Barberton, who is 8-2. Number 2 seed Chardon is 10-0, hosting number 7 seed Bedford, who is 7-3. Warren G. Harding at 9-1 are the 3 seed. They'll be hosting 6 seed Brecksville Broadview Heights at 8-2. Number 4 seed Hudson at 8-2 will also host 8-2 Copley, and they are the 5th seed. Region 6 will have number 1 Avon unbeaten at 10-0, hosting Avon Lake, who is 7-3, the 8th seed. Number 2 seed Holland Springfield, also unbeaten, will take on Westlake, who is 7-3. Grafton Midview, the number 3 seed at 9-1, will take on 6 seed Olmsted Falls, who is 7-3. And number 4 seed White House Anthony Wayne, they're 7-3, and they'll be hosting Cleveland Glenville, the 5 seed, who is 7-3. In Region 7, the number 1 seed is Massillon Perry, who was in the state title game a season ago. They are 8-2. They'll be hosting 6-4 and 8 seed Uniontown Lake. Number 2 Massillon at 8-2. They'll be hosting number 7 Dublin Scioto, who is 7-3. Number 3 New Albany, who is 7-3. They'll be hosting Columbus West, the 6th seed. They are 9-1. And number 4 seed will be Columbus Franklin Heights. They're 9-1. They're hosting Pataskala Licking Heights. They're in the 5th seed and sitting at 8-2. And finally, in Division 2, Region 8, Troy is the number 1 seed. They are 9-1, and they'll be hosting Cincinnati Anderson, the 8th seed. They are 7-3. Number 2 seed Cincinnati Turpin at 10-0 will take on the number 7 seed Harrison, who is 6-4. The 3rd seed is Cincinnati LaSalle, the defending state champs at 8-2. They'll be taking on Trenton Edgewood, who is 8-2. And it'll be number 4 seed Miamisburg at 8-2. They'll be hosting Kings Mills Kings at 8-2. They are the number 5 seed. All right, time for a break for these messages from your local station. 2 divisions down, 5 more to go on the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show.
R&L Carriers, your global transportation provider, offers a complete portfolio of LTL, truckload, international, and expedited services. Family owned and operated for over 40 years, R&L Carriers provides custom shipping solutions while delivering great value and price. Visit GoRLC.com and click on Save Time and Money to learn how we can support all your shipping needs. R&L Carriers, we ship anything, anywhere, anytime.
March with us with the official Columbus Blue Jackets app presented by T-Mobile. Get breaking news, real-time game updates, live radio, seat upgrades, and more. Plus, now high school and college students can access Rush tickets on their phone. Just download the app and select CBJ Student Rush in the menu. Tickets start at just $15 and include a free offer from Papa John's. Go to bluejackets.com/rush for complete details.
The Ohio High School Athletic Association is about so much more than tournaments and state championships. The OHSAA is committed to being the leader in education-based sports in Ohio. That means that school sports are an extension of the classroom, where values like teamwork, character, sacrifice, sportsmanship, and discipline are taught right along with the playbook. Almost 400,000 young people in Ohio put on their school's uniform every year. We call them student athletes, and most importantly, we call them future leaders of our state and our country. This is the OHSAA, Educate Through Sport.
You may think seatbelt laws are no big deal. Well, you couldn't be more wrong. Cops are cracking down day and night in the city, in the country, and all points in between. Make no mistake, if you don't buckle up, you will get caught and you will get a ticket. Even if you've gotten away with not buckling in the past, things are about to change. Cops are serious about seatbelt safety, so don't kid yourself. Buckle up every time or get a ticket. Click it or ticket. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show. Now let's rejoin Todd Bell.
A reminder that all season ticket books are now on sale through Ticketmaster for the 2016 OHSAA Football State Championship games in Ohio Stadium, December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. There are also all-session tickets available, including one that allows for indoor access inside the Huntington Club in the shoe before, during, and after each game. The holiday season isn't too far away, and what a gift that would make. Let's get back into our first round pairings, and we will get back into it by looking at Divisions 3 and 4. And starting with Division 3, games will be played 7 p.m. on Saturday, November the 5th. In Region 9, Alliance Marlington is the number 1 seed, sitting at 10-0. They'll host number 8 seed Akron East, who is 7-3. Number 2 seed is Akron Archbishop Hoban at 9-1. They'll host number 7 seed Warren Howland, 7-3. 3rd seed is Dover. They are 7-3, and they'll take on Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, who is 6-4 as the 6th seed. And number 4 seed Medina Buckeye at 9-1 will host New Philadelphia. The 5 seed is 8-2. In Region 10, the number 1 seed is Toledo Central Catholic, undefeated at 10-0. They will host number 8 Bay Village Bay. They are 7-3. Number 2 is Sandusky at 9-1. They will be hosting Ashland, the 7 seed. They are 7-3. Clyde will be the 3rd seed. They are 8-2. They'll take on 7-3 Lexington, who is the 6th seed. And the number 4 seed is Bowling Green. They'll be at 7-3 and hosting Huntington Valley University School, also 7-3, as the 5 seed. In Region 11, Columbus St. Francis de Sales undefeated. They are the number 1 seed. They will host Thornville Sheridan, who is 8-2 as the 8th seed. Columbus Bexley is 10-0. They are the 2 seed, and they'll host Whitehall Yearling, 8-2. They are the 7 seed. Columbus Hamilton Township is 8-2. They're the 3rd seed. They'll take on 6 seed Chillicothe, who is 8-2. And number 4 seed Columbus Eastmore Academy. They are 8-2. They'll take on 9-1 Columbus Beechcroft, who is the number 5 seed. And finally, in Division 3 in Region 12, the number 1 seed is Franklin. They are 10-0. They'll take on Tip City Tippecanoe, who is 7-3, the 8th seed. Number 2 seed is Wapakoneta, who is 9-1. They'll take on Trotwood Madison at 8-2. They're the 7th seed. Number 3 seed is New Richmond. They are at 9-1. They will play Cincinnati Mount Healthy, who is the 6th seed at 8-2. And the number 4 seed is St. Mary's Memorial. They are 9-1. They'll take on Dayton Belmont, who is 7-2. And the 5 seed. Moving along now to Division 4. Again, games will be played at 7:30 p.m. on Friday, November the 4th. And Region 13's number 1 seed is Perry. They are 10-0. They will take on number 8 seed Parma Heights Holy Name, who is 6-4. Number 2 seed Manaway Crestwood at 9-1. They will host Chardon Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. They are 7-3 in the 7 seed. Youngstown Cardinal Mooney at 7-2. The 3 seed will take on Hubbard, who is 8-2 as the 6 seed, and Peninsula Woodridge, who is 10-0. They are the 4 seed. They will take on Struthers, who is the 5 seed at 9-1. In Region 14, Port Clinton at 9-1. They are the number 1 seed, and they'll take on Benjamin Logan, who is 9-1. They are the 8th seed. The number 2 seed is Ottawa Glandorf. They're 9-1. They'll host 7 seed Bellevue at 7-3. The 3 seed Lewistown Indian Lake at 10-0 will take on Caledonia River Valley, who is 7-3 in the 6th seed. And Plain City Jonathan Alter at 9-1. And the number 4 seed will host 5 seed Columbus Bishop Hartley. They are 7-2. In Region 15, the number 1 seed is Heath at 10-0. They'll take on Duncan Falls Philo, who is 8-2, the number 8 seed. Number 2 seed is Steubenville at 9-1. They'll take on 7 seed Wintersville Indian Creek, who is 8-2. The 3rd seed is Johnstown Monroe. They are 9-1, and they will host 6 seed Cambridge, who is 7-3. And the 4 seed is Shelby. They're 9-1. They will play Carroll Bloom Carroll, who is 7-3, and the number 5 seed. And finally, in Division 4 in Region 16, the number 1 seed is Cincinnati, Wyoming. They are 10-0, and they will be hosting Chillicothe Unioto, who is 8-2, and the 8th seed. Clarksville Clinton Massey is the number 2 seed. They're 9-1. They'll play 7 seed Cincinnati Taft, who is 8-2. 3rd seed is Archbishop Alter out of Kettering. They are 10-0 in the 3 seed, and they'll be hosting 6 seed Cincinnati Indian Hill, who is 9-1. And the number 4 seed is Waverly. They're 9-1. They'll also take on 9-1 Germantown Valley View, and they are the number 5 seed. So those are Divisions 3 and 4, and we've completed the first 4 divisions. And now let's go inside those pairings a little bit and hear from a couple of our media experts from around the state. We'll begin in Central Ohio with a report from Charlie Danis from Columbus's WTOH.
2016 proved to be a very productive year for Central Ohio high school football teams. All 3 schools from the Olentangy District, Liberty, Olentangy, and Orange, made the playoffs, with Liberty claiming the number 1 seed in Region 2 of Division 1. Dublin Jerome was number 2 in that region as well. Meanwhile, 6 local teams made the playoffs in Region 3 of Division 1. Hilliard-Bradley landed at number 2. There were also many familiar faces making a return to the playoffs, such as Dublin-Kaufman, Hilliard-Davidson, and Pickerington Central. Pickerington North and Lancaster will also be a part of the postseason in that region. In Division 2, Region 7, New Albany landed the number 3 seed, while 2 surprises in Franklin Heights and Columbus West made the playoff field, as well as Licking Heights and Dublin-Scioto. And finally, in Division 3, Region 11, St. Francis de Sales wrapped up the number 1 seed with a perfect 10-0 record in the regular season. Could we see the Stallions match up with the Fighting Irish of Toledo Central Catholic for the D3 crown? Only time will tell. I'm Charlie Danis for WTOH-FM in Columbus.
Now let's go over to Dayton, and we'll hear from Mark Neal from WING.
4 Dayton area teams made it to Week 11 in Division 1. In Region 3, 2-time defending state runner-up Wayne will host Lancaster, while the 6th seed Springfield is at Pickerington Central. In Region 4, Springboro garnered the 8th seed. Their reward, a date with undefeated top seed Coleraine. Also, Lebanon is the 2 seed and will host Cincinnati Sycamore. In Division 2, Region 8, Troy defeats rival Piqua in their 132nd meeting to finish 9-1 and the number 1 seed. They will host Cincinnati Anderson on Friday. Trenton Edgewood is the 6th seed and will play 3-seeded LaSalle, while 8-2 Miamisburg hosts Kings Friday night as well. In Division 3, Region 12, undefeated number 1 seed Franklin hosts Tip. The 5 seed Dayton Belmont out of the City League gets St. Mary's, and watch out for 7th seed Trotwood Madison as they are at Wapak. Division 4 gives us undefeated state powerhouse Alter as the 3 seed in Region 16. They host Cincinnati Indian Hill, and Germantown Valley View goes to Waverly. Finally, in Division 5, Region 20, Greenview is at Carlisle in a 3-6 matchup, and Milton Union hosts Cincinnati Aiken, plus 7th seed Brookville plays Coldwater. For 1410 ESPN Radio WING in Dayton, I'm Mark Neal.
And let's head on up to Toledo, and we'll hear from Jim Cushlan from WTOD.
As is the case most years, Toledo and Northwest Ohio have a whole bunch of playoff teams spread across all the various divisions. Here are some of the highlights from the area. Let's start Central Catholic, 10-0, winners of their 4th straight track championship, the first undefeated team since 2013 and 28 straight league wins. They are the number 1 team in the state in the AP. They will host Bay Village Bay on Saturday. And a couple notes there. They're trying to get back to the state championship game for the 4th time in the last 5 years. They won it all in 2012 and 2014. And Mike Warren Jr., number 8 all-time in OHSAA career rushing yards with 6,913. In Division 2, the number 4 team in the state, Springfield, their first league title since 1994, first outright title since 1970, and first undefeated regular season since 1960. They will host a playoff game for the first time ever on Friday night against Westlake. Anthony Wayne, the NLL's runner-up, will host a playoff game as well on Friday against Cleveland Glenville. 8-2 Whitmer, they take on Medina in a 4-5 matchup in Division 1 on Friday. That's the only Division 1 school from Toledo. 10-0 Patrick Henry hosting Defiance Tenora on Friday, and the 9-1 SWAT in their 2nd straight playoff appearance. They're on the road, though, on Saturday at West Salem Northwestern. This is Jim Cushlan for ESPN 106.5 WTOD in Toledo.
3 divisions remain to be announced, and we will do that when we come back from these messages from the Ohio High School Athletic Association. You're listening to the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show.
Not only can the OHSAA's online fan guide help you get from here to the tournament game there, but it can also help you relive the sights and sounds of a great high school sporting event. The fan guide has driving directions to regional and state tournaments and ticket information, including several online ticketing options. If the game is out of town, a list of area hotels and restaurants is there too. After the game, the fan guide has apparel and OHSAA gear, official programs, DVDs, and photos. It's the OHSAA fan guide. Log on to ohsaa.org/fan guide today.
Hi, I'm Ron Stokes, analyst for Ohio State basketball.
I'm Jim Lachey, analyst for Ohio State football.
Want an edge on your competition? Start by eating a balanced, nutrient-rich diet packed with protein, carbohydrates, and dairy.
And finish with a low-fat or fat-free chocolate milk. It provides 9 essential nutrients to replenish the fluids lost when you've given it your all.
You've trained, practiced, and played. Now fuel up with chocolate milk.
For more information, visit drink-milk.com.
American Dairy Association Mideast is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
There's people who care where I'm going, and good friends who welcome me home. So get a full tank of freedom, drive the American road. And with a full tank of freedom, find your own highway, we'll take you wherever you go.
Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
We have learned that 1 in 5 teens abuse prescription medications not prescribed to them that can lead to serious addictions. This is Governor John Kasich. Drugs are destroying our communities and taking futures away from our young people. That is why safety partners like the Ohio State Highway Patrol and the Ohio National Guard have joined forces to give our young folks 5 Minutes for Life, a program dedicated to reducing drug use among Ohio teens. Learn more about the program at facebook.com/5minutesforlife.
KidsLinked.com is a one-of-a-kind family resource for parents to find local kid-friendly activities, family events, cool deals, and fun things to do. KidsLinked publishes helpful print and online family resource guides, hosts their signature Kids Fest family festivals, as well as the Columbus Children's Festival in June and the Learning Rocks Education Expo each November. Check out KidsLinked.com for all the information parents need in one convenient place. That's KidsLinked.com. Welcome back to the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show. Now let's rejoin Todd Bell.
The OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show continues, and we're now ready for Division 5, which has been dominated the last 4 years by the Coldwater Cavaliers. But before we get to the pairings, let's hear about those Cavs and others from West Central Ohio. From Lima WIMA Radio's Todd Walker.
Any discussion about the Ohio high school postseason has to begin with Coldwater and Marion Local. Coldwater has won the last 4 Division 5 state championships, and they make their 20th consecutive postseason appearance, the longest active streak and the second longest in the history of the playoffs. Coldwater will host Brookville in Division 5 Region 20 Saturday night. As for Marion Local, they lost in the D6 championship game last year, snapping a streak of 4 straight state championships over Division 7 and 6. The Flyers are in D6 again this year, and the top seed in Region 24. They will host West Liberty Salem Friday night. Also out of the MAC in that same region, St. Henry will be at Spencerville. Last year's Division 7 champion, Fort Recovery, is back in the field. They'll visit Ada Saturday night. And Minster is in D7. They won the Division 6 state championship in 2014. They're home for Sidney Lehman Saturday night. Joining Spencerville out of the Northwest Conference will be Delphus Jefferson, Ada, and Crestview. Spencerville's home game with St. Henry will mark its first ever home postseason appearance. The Western Buckeye League had tri-champions, and all 3 of them earned home games. Friday night in Division 4, Region 14, Ottawa-Glandorf will host Bellevue. Saturday night, Division 3, Region 12, Wapakoneta, making its 4th consecutive playoff appearance, will host Trotwood-Madison. And also in Region 12, St. Mary's is back in the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. The Rough Riders will host Dayton-Belmont Saturday night. The BVC will have 3 playoff teams led by Macomb, a semifinalist last year in Division 7. And the NWCC has 2 playoff teams, Sidney Lehman and Upper Saddle Valley, the Rams, with their first ever postseason berth. Reporting from 1150 WIMA in Lima, this is Todd Walker.
Todd, thank you, and let's dive into those pairings in Division 5. Games will be played 7 p.m. on Saturday, November the 5th. The number 1 seed is Canfield South Range. They are 9-1 on the season in Region 17, and they'll host the 8 seed Garrettsville Garfield at 7-3. Number 2 seed is Orwell Grand Valley, who is 9-1. They'll take on 7 seed Sullivan Black River, who is 7-3. The 3rd seed is Canton Central Catholic. They are 6-3. They'll take on number 6 seed Akron Manchester at 7-3. And the 4 seed is Leavittsburg LeBray, who is 7-3, and they'll take on the 5th seed Wycliffe, who is 8-2. In Region 18, number 1 seed is Creston Norwayne. They are 9-1. They'll play 7-3 Genoa Area, who is 8th seed. Pemberville Eastwood is 9-1 as the 2 seed, and they'll be hosting number 7 Marion Pleasant, who is 8-2. The 3 seed is Milan Edison, who is 9-1. They'll take on Columbus Academy, who is 8-2, the 6th seed. And West Salem Northwestern is 8-2. They're the 4 seed, and they'll take on the 5th seed Swanton, who is 9-1. Region 19 has Wheelersburg as the number 1 seed. They are 10-0. They'll take on West Lafayette Ridgewood, who is 9-1 in the 8th seed. Sugar Creek Garraway is 10-0. They're the 2 seed, and they'll host Baltimore Liberty Union, who is 7-3, and the 7 seed. Coshocton is 8-1. They're the number 3 seed. They will host Ironton, who is 7-3, as the 6 seed. And Nelsonville York is 8-2. They're the 4 seed. They'll take on Chillicothe Zane Trace, who is 8-2, as the 5 seed. Finally, in Region 20 in Division 5, Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy, who is 10-0. They will be hosting Blanchester, the 8th seed, at 7-3. Number 2, Coldwater, 9-1 on the year, will host Brookville, who is 5-5, as the 7 seed. Number 3, Carlisle at 8-2. They'll be hosting Jamestown Greenview, who is 8-2, as the 6 seed. And 4 seed West Milton Union at 7-3. They'll be hosting number 5, Cincinnati Aiken. Now, before we get into the Division 6 pairings, let's bring in a couple of more media experts from around the state. We'll start with Jim Campbell from Youngstown, WKBN Radio.
11 teams from Mahoning, Trumbull, and Columbiana counties are part of this year's playoff picture, down from an all-time area high of 17 last season. The area has at least one participant in every division except Division 1. The only regional computer leader is South Range. The area team in the field with the best postseason history is Cardinal Mooney. The Cardinals have won 8 state championships. Mooney is the last local squad to capture a state crown, winning in Division III in 2013. 3 other area teams in the field will be looking to add to their state championship resume. Warren Harding is after its 3rd state title. Warren JFK and Lisbon David Anderson have a shot at the big trophy for the 2nd time. I'm Jim Campbell with 570 WKBN, Youngstown.
We'll stay on the eastern side of the state and hear now from Joey Klepak from Steubenville, WCDK.
9-1, second-ranked Steubenville Big Red is making its 16th straight playoff appearance. Steubenville has won 3 state championships, the first one in '84 and then back-to-back in '05 and '06. Big Red coach Reno Suckhodge, in his 34th year at the helm, has led the team to 3 straight regional titles and last year's championship game. Big Red averages 38.2 points per game, runs for just over 200 a game. Junior quarterback Javon Davis has thrown for over 1,100 yards and 17 touchdowns. Leading receiver 6'5", 265-pound Pitt commit Charles Reeves, averaging just over 16 yards per catch with 6 touchdowns. Big Red's tough 4-3 defense is holding opponents to only 94 yards rushing a game. Big Red's opponent in the Division IV Region 15 quarterfinals will be 7th-ranked 8-2 Indian Creek. These 2 schools are only about 10 minutes apart, and they've met twice in the postseason, including last year's Big Red win. Indian Creek is led by 14-year head coach Andrew Connor, who's guided his Redskins to the playoffs 4 of the past 6 seasons. Indian Creek's offense is averaging 220 yards rushing a game, and senior tailback Robert Coppa is a hard runner who plays a lot bigger than he is. Quarterback Greg Wade is a dynamic player with great speed and very smart with the ball. Creek's defense allows only 12.2 points per game. And 6th-ranked 8-2 Toronto, making its 3rd trip to the Division VII playoffs. Head coach Eric Meek, in his 7th year and his 2nd stint with the Red Knights, has put together an offense that scores 44 a game and averages 243 on the ground. Their O-line is big and experienced. They have a stable of running backs. Toronto's 4-4 defense is very physical, prides itself in stopping the run. The Red Knights faced 3rd-ranked 9-1 Warren JFK, who eliminated Toronto in the regional semifinals last year. This is Joey Klepak from WCDK in Steubenville.
And finally, before the Division VI pairings, let's hear from Joe Geckler from Dover, WTUZ Radio.
Here is a look at your 2016 high school football playoff preview for East Central Ohio. Division III, Region 9, the number 3 Dover Tornadoes, who finished the regular season at 6-4 with a win over crosstown rival New Philadelphia 24-21 in overtime, will host 6-seed Akron St. Vincent St. Mary at Crater Stadium on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. The number 5 New Philadelphia Quakers finished the regular season at 8-2 after the aforementioned loss to the Dover Tornadoes 24-21 in overtime. New Philadelphia will now travel to Medina Buckeye to battle the Bucks without their senior quarterback and captain Logan Bittekoffer, who broke his left collarbone in Week 10. Division 5, Region 19, the number 2 Garaway Pirates finished the regular season at 10-0. Garaway senior quarterback R.J. Jacobs leads the state of Ohio in passing yards with 2,990. He became the first quarterback in Tuscarawas County history to surpass 10,000 passing yards in a career. He is currently 8th all-time in the state of Ohio and should move into 7th place during the Pirates' playoff game with Liberty Union on Saturday night. The number 8 Ridgewood Generals finished the season at 9-1, with their only loss coming to the Garaway Pirates in Week 6, 27-7. The Generals' defense has shut out 6 different teams in 2016. Ridgewood will travel to Wheelersburg to battle the Pirates this Saturday at 7 o'clock. The number 3 Coshocton Redskins wrapped up the 2016 regular season at 9-1, with their only loss coming at the hands of the Dover Tornadoes 24-21. The Redskins will play host to the Ironton Tigers, who are 7-3. Game time is 7 p.m. Saturday night. And that is a look at your high school football playoff preview for East Central Ohio. I'm Joe Geckler from WTUZ in New Philadelphia.
And now here are the Division VI pairings. Games will be Friday, November the 4th at 7:30. Region 21's number 1 seed is Cuyahoga Heights. They are 10-0 on the season. They'll host number 8 seed Jerome Hillsdale, who is 7-3. Number 2, New Middletown Springfield at 8-2 will host Columbia Station Columbia at 8-2. They're the 7 seed. 3rd seed Kirtland is 9-1. They'll host the 6th seed Dalton, who is 7-3. And Louisville St. Thomas Aquinas, who is 8-2. They're the 4th seed. They'll host Lisbon David Anderson, who's 9-1, the number 5 seed. Region 22 has Hamler Patrick Henry is unbeaten and the number 1 seed, hosting Defiance Tenora, who is 7-3, the 8th seed. Number 2 seed is Bucyrus Winford, also unbeaten. They'll take on number 7 seed Gibsonburg, who's 8-2. Defiance Ayersville makes up the 3rd unbeaten team in Region 22. They're the 3rd seed. They'll host number 6 seed Attica Seneca East, who is 8-2. And the 4th seed is Liberty Center. They're 8-2, and they'll take on number 5 seed North Robinson Colonel Crawford, who also is 8-2. Region 23 will see Hannibal River, the number 1 seed, at 9-0. They'll take on Columbus Bishop Reedy, who is 7-3, the 8 seed. Beverly Fort Fry is 10-0, and they're the 2 seed, hosting Centerburg at 8-2 as the 7 seed. The number 3 seed in that region is Chesapeake. They're 9-1. They will take on 6 seed Barnesville, who is 8-1. And a game that'll be played on Saturday, November 5th at 1:30 in the afternoon. It'll be Bel Air at 6-4, the 4 seed, hosting Newark Catholic, also 6-4 as the 5 seed. And finally in Division 6, Region 24, Maria Stein Marion Local at 9-1 is the number 1 seed, hosting 8 seed West Liberty Salem, who is 6-4. Number 2 is Delphus Jefferson. They are 9-1. They'll host 7 seed Cincinnati Summit Country Day, who is 7-3. The 3rd seed is Mechanicsburg. They are 10-0, hosting Casstown Miami East at 7-3 in the 6th seed. And the 4 seed Spencerville at 8-2. They'll take on the 5th seed St. Henry, who is 7-3 on the season. All right, we're down to 1 division left to go. We'll hear from several more media experts from around the state of Ohio when we come back from this break for these messages from your local stations. You're listening to the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show.
Hi, I'm Anthony Munoz. I didn't make it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame by letting drugs and alcohol affect my ability to play. I brought my A game every time, and that's what you should do when sharing the road. That means never getting behind the wheel under the influence and wearing your seatbelt, because it's always the best defense against a drunk driver. So whether you're driving around town or to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, never let impaired driving take you out of the game.
This message brought to you by the Ohio Department of Public Safety.
Why do they officiate? For some, it's a way of staying involved in a sport they grew up with. For others, it's a way to pay it forward by helping kids who play today and tomorrow. It's also a great way to stay active, make extra money, and work with friends. And all of them will say it boils down to one thing: the love of the game. Find your reasons and log on to OHSAA.org to find out how to become an official. You'll be glad you did. This is the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Educate through sports.
KidsLinked.com is a one-of-a-kind family resource for parents to find local kid-friendly activities, family events, cool deals, and fun things to do. KidsLinked publishes helpful print and online family resource guides, hosts their signature Kids Fest family festivals, as well as the Columbus Children's Festival in June and the Learning Rocks Education Expo each November. Check out KidsLinked.com for all the information parents need in one convenient place. That's KidsLinked.com.
Not only can the OHSAA's online fan guide help you get from here to the tournament game there, but it can also help you relive the sights and sounds of a great high school sporting event. The fan guide has driving directions to regional and state tournaments and ticket information, including several online ticketing options. If the game is out of town, a list of area hotels and restaurants is there too. After the game, the fan guide has apparel and OHSAA gear, official programs, DVDs, and photos. It's the OHSAA fan guide. Log on to OHSAA.org/fan guide today.
Welcome back to the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show. Now let's rejoin Todd Bell.
The OHSAA Football Playoff Show continues, and it's our final segment of the program, and we've got 1 division left to go. That's Division 7. But first off, let's hear from a few more of our media experts from around the state of Ohio, and we'll begin with a trip to the northeast corner of the state, and hear from Dave Miller from Ashtabula WFUN Radio.
This is Dave Miller with ESPN 970 WFUN in Ashtabula. Orwell Grand Valley makes the Division 5 state tournament for the 2nd straight year. First time the program's done that since 1996-1997. They'll look for their first tournament win since 1996 when they host Sullivan Black River on Saturday in Division 5 Region 17. This past Friday, Coach John Glavickas' squad beat Conneaut in what amounted to a playoff game for both teams, 37-7. Junior running back Eduardo Hernandez finished with 243 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Elsewhere in Ashtabula County, Jefferson area senior Jeremiah Knight capped off a stellar season with another 248-yard performance in a win over LeBray. Knight, a verbal commit to the University of Dayton, finished the year with more than 2,000 yards and became Ashtabula County's all-time leading rusher. Finally, a big shout-out goes to Ashtabula Lakeside senior Patton Sidbeck. Friday night, he made his 40th varsity start for Coach Frank Hall's Dragons. That means the lineman started every game in his high school career. For ESPN 970 WFUN, this is Dave Miller.
Now off to Findlay, and we check in with Chris Miller from WFIN.
The Findlay area will be well represented in the state football playoffs. On Friday night, the Findlay Trojans will make their 7th playoff appearance, but their first since 2011, when the 7-3 Trojans traveled to 9-1 Dublin Jerome. The Ottawa Glandorf Titans are back in the postseason for the second straight season. They'll make their 13th playoff appearance overall. The 9-1 Titans will host 7-3 Bellevue in Division 4 on Friday night. Also on Friday night, Patrick Henry, after a few years' absence, is back in the postseason. The unbeaten Patriots will host 7-3 Tenora. And then on Saturday night in Division 7, it'll be the 9-1 Macomb Panthers making their 20th playoff appearance, their 7th straight. They will host 7-3 Danbury Lakeside, making their first ever playoff appearance. Arlington will make their 8th playoff appearance and 5th straight when the 7-3 Red Devils host 7-3 Lucas. Leipzig makes their 8th straight and 9th overall playoff appearance. The 7-3 Vikings have to travel to 7-3 Hicksville. And Ada, in the postseason for the 11th time, will be home at 7-3 against 6-4 Fort Recovery. And I'm Chris Miller for WFIN in Findlay.
And here's Chad Wilkinson from Bell Fountains, WPKO.
3 local teams are in the playoffs from the Logan County area. The Indian Lake Lakers are in for the second straight season with a 10-0 record for the first time in school history. In Division 4, Region 14, they're led by 2015 CBC Player of the Year senior quarterback Alex Jacobs. He's thrown for over 1,700 yards and rushed for just over 800. They're going to host 7-3 River Valley on Friday night in a 3-6 matchup. Also in Division 4, Region 14, the Benjamin Logan Raiders at 9-1 are in for the first time in school history. Senior quarterback Trey Wilson just went over 7,000 career passing yards, moving into the top 40 all-time in the state of Ohio. Wilson will look to top target Cole Wall, coming off 183 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. The Raiders at number 8 will travel up to face number 1 Port Clinton. In Division 6, Region 24, the West Liberty Salem Tigers are in the playoffs for the 10th time in 11 years. The Tigers are the 8th seed at 6-4, but those 4 losses are all to playoff teams. They'll have their work cut out for them when they go to Perennial Power Marion Local Friday night. I'm Chad Wilkinson from WPKO in Bell Fountain.
With that, let's now check in on the Division 7 games that will be played at 7 o'clock on Saturday, November the 5th. We'll begin in Region 25, where number 1 seed Norwalk St. Paul at 10-0 will take on 8 seed East Canton at 6-4. Number 2 Mogador is 8-2. They'll take on 7 seed North Jackson Milton at 7-3. Number 3, Warren JFK. They are 9-1 on the season. They'll take on 6 seed Toronto, who is 8-2. And the 4 seed is Monroeville. They are 9-1. They'll take on number 5 Wyndham, who is 7-3. Region 26, number 1 Macomb is 9-1. They'll take on Lakeside Danbury, who is 7-3 in the 8th seed. Number 2 seed is Arlington at 7-3. They will be hosting 7 seed Lucas, 7-3 as well. The 3rd seed is Tiffin Calvert. They are 6-3. They'll host Convoy Crestview at 7-3 in the 6th seed. And Hicksville is 7-3. They're the 4 seed. They'll take on Leipzig, who is 7-3 and the 5 seed. Region 27 has Waterford at 9-1, the number 1 seed, and they'll be hosting Zanesville Bishop Rosecrans, 7-3 on the season, and the 8th seed. Number 2 is Shadyside. They are 8-2. They'll host Canal Winchester Harvest Prep. They're 7-3 and the 7th seed. The 3 seed is Portsmouth Sciotaville Community. They are 10-0. Danville is 7-3 in the 6th seed. That's their opponent. Gloucester Trimble, the number 4 seed, is 8-2. They'll take on 5 seed Racine Southern, also 8-2. And in Region 28, number 1 seed Covington. They are unbeaten. They will be hosting Hillcrest Academy out of Cincinnati. They're the 8th seed. Number 2 seed is Troy Christian. They're 9-1. They'll host McGuffey Upper Scioto Valley at 7-3 as the 7th seed. Number 3 seed is Minster. They are 6-4, and they'll take on the 6 seed Sidney Lehman Catholic, who is 7-3. And the 4 seed in Region 28 is Ada. That's 7-3, and they'll take on Fort Recovery, who is 6-4, and the 5 seed. Before we wrap things up, let's hear from a couple more of our media experts from around the state of Ohio, and we'll check in now with Dan Ramey from Chillicothe's WCHI.
In Chillicothe, we're following 4 teams in South Central Ohio, starting with the Chillicothe Cavaliers, making their 8th playoff appearance as they head to Hamilton Township Saturday. It's the Cavaliers' 3rd appearance in the last 4 seasons under Coach Ron Hinton, who moved up to 5th on Ohio's all-time wins list this year. While the Cavs have made it to Week 11, they've had trouble getting past Week 12, going 2-7 in 9 games. The Cavaliers finished 8-1 after a season-opening loss to Johnstown, and 2 weeks ago they fell 14-13 to another powerhouse, Clinton Massie. The Falcons recently won their 58th consecutive South Central Ohio League contest as the SCOL era comes to a close. It may be hard for some to remember the last time Clinton Massie was not in the playoffs. This is their 14th straight appearance and 15th time since 1998. They're just 3 seasons removed from winning back-to-back state titles. They'll host Cincinnati Taft on Friday. Just outside Chillicothe, we're keeping an eye on newcomer Unioto, making the school's first playoff appearance. The Sherman's offense averages just under 40 points per game this season. They'll head to Wyoming, who has allowed just 6.9 points per game this season in the Cincinnati area, 19 total points since week 4. They've had a string of 4 consecutive shutouts. With a win at Wyoming this Friday, Unioto could gain a rematch with the Waverly Tigers. Waverly has been the pleasant surprise in Southern Ohio, finishing 9-1. The Tigers' lone loss was to Wheelersburg. The Pirates are the number 1 seed in Region 19 of Division 5, the same region in which Zane Trace has landed 5th. The Pioneers travel to Nelsonville, York this weekend, making back-to-back playoff appearances and their 3rd since 2013. Zane Trace reached the regional final last season, falling to the Berg. From News Radio WBEX in Chillicothe, I'm Dan Ramey.
Let's go to Southern Ohio now and hear from Jason Filyaw at Ironton's WIRO.
2 Lawrence County teams representing the Ohio Valley Conference saw their season extended last week as Ironton and Chesapeake both qualified for postseason play. It's nothing new for the Fighting Tigers as Ironton makes its 33rd postseason appearance, second most all time in the state of Ohio. They made it to Week 11 with a 43-28 win last week over the rival Portsmouth. It's been ground and pound for the Fighting Tigers in 2016. Last week was no exception as they piled up 479 yards rushing on the way to the victory. After a 1-3 start, the Fighting Tigers have ripped off 6 consecutive wins as they captured the OVC League title for the 2nd straight season. Their conference mates, the Chesapeake Panthers, are back in the playoffs for the 2nd consecutive year. Chesapeake finished with a 9-1 overall record, their best regular season performance since 1999. Their only loss was a 28-12 setback at Ironton. This high-powered Chesapeake Panther offense scored 40 or more points 7 times this season. Ironton opens the playoffs Saturday night at Coshocton, while Chesapeake has a home game, playing host to Barnesville Friday night. This is Jason Filyaw from Fox Sports 1230 and 1420 in Ironton.
And now let's bring in Tom Hushin from Marietta WJAW.
As is the case most years, Toledo and Northwest Ohio have a whole bunch of playoff teams spread across all the various divisions. Here are some of the highlights from the area. Let's start Central Catholic, 10-0, winners of their 4th straight track championship, the first undefeated team since 2013 and 28 straight league wins. They are the number 1 team in the state in the AP. They will host Bay Village Bay on Saturday. And a couple of notes there. They're trying to get back to the state championship game for the 4th time in the last 5 years. They won it all in 2012 and 2014. And Mike Warren Jr., number 8 all-time in OHSAA career rushing yards with 6,913. In Division 2, the number 4 team in the state, Springfield, their first league title since 1994, first outright title since 1970, and first undefeated regular season since 1960. They will host a playoff game for the first time ever on Friday night against Westlake. Anthony Wayne, the NLL's runner-up, will host a playoff game as well on Friday against Cleveland Glenville. 8-2 Whitmer, they take on Medina in a 4-5 matchup in Division 1 on Friday. That's the only Division I school from Toledo. 10-0 Patrick Henry hosting Defiance Tenora on Friday, and the 9-1 SWAT in their 2nd straight playoff appearance. They're on the road, though, on Saturday at West Salem Northwestern. This is Jim Cushlan for ESPN 106.5 WTOD in Toledo.
And once again, back to West Central Ohio and hear from Mike Heron from Salina's WKKI.
7 schools from Mercer and Auglaize County will be represented in this year's postseason tournament. Wapak, one of 3 teams to claim a share of the Western Buckeye League title, back in the playoffs under Coach Travis Moyer. St. Mary's making their first playoff appearance since the last time they shared the Western Buckeye League in 2008, hosting just their 3rd home game in school history. If we're talking about the postseason, we're talking about the Midwest Athletic Conference. Somewhere MAC Commissioner Don Kemper is smiling. 5 teams get into this year's postseason, led off by the 4-time defending state champions in Division 5, the Coldwater Cavaliers, making yet another playoff appearance. 29 straight wins came to an end this year when they lost to Minster, who also will be back in the playoffs after winning the state championship just 2 seasons ago. Fort Recovery, 3 straight for them as they're making just the 3rd appearance in school history, and the St. Henry Redskins. Last made the playoffs back in 2012 when they lost in the regional finals to Marion Local. And speaking about those Flyers, favorites to win one of the most loaded regions in the state of Ohio, yet another number 1 seed and 62-10 all time in the playoffs. So the area well represented by teams with a big shot of heading down the road towards Columbus. For WKKI 94.3 FM in Salina, this is Mike Hearn.
As we close up shop, would like to thank all of our guests from around Ohio who contributed to the OHSAA Playoff Preview Show. A reminder that brackets, pairings, notes, and more are available on the football page at OHSAA.org. We hope to see you along the playoff trail throughout November and at Ohio Stadium December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for the state championship games at Ohio Stadium. On behalf of the Ohio High School Athletic Association, this is Todd Bell. The OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show has been a production of the OHSAA Radio Network.
Former Ohio State and NFL quarterback Bobby Hoy on life lessons through sports.
The member schools of the Ohio High School Athletic Association share in the mission of educational athletics. That means that school sports are an extension of the classroom and play an important part of a well-rounded education. Student athletes do a lot more than just play sports, but it's the lessons they learn through sports that last a lifetime.
This message brought to you by the Ohio High School Athletic Association.